Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. Now, obviously, the shutdown was a bad thing. The Democrat, no kings, Chuck Schumer shutdown was an absolute disaster. It was a disgrace. But sometimes, even though bad things happen, you gotta look at the silver lining of it all. And in this case, the silver lining of it all is that Democrats put some issues at the forefront of the conversation that I think, they probably regret at this point. That's, of course, Obamacare, but it's also EBT fraud, and now H-1B is joining the conversation. They spent all this effort to intimidate this administration to stop them into looking in waste, fraud, and abuse from the moment Doge started. But if anything, they've now amplified the effort. They've absolutely played themselves. Their corruption is now on full display. The corrupt incentives, the programs that are being abused, especially in Democrat cities and states, are all under the magnifying glass. They're getting hit with massive spotlights. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got a couple issues to talk about. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so let's first start off with H-1B. And of course, as we know, H-1B was supposed to be a very narrow, high-skill immigration valve, meaning H-1Bs were really supposed to fill very limited talent gaps that the country was experiencing. If you needed more astrophysicists with certain levels of competency, or experts in particular fields like, let's say, precision manufacturing, but American universities weren't filling all the job gaps, well then you could use H-1Bs for those very specialized jobs. But obviously what's happened is these programs have become magnets for fraud. You got all these middlemen and shell corporations, and of course the political machines, mostly left-wing political machines, but in some cases uniparty Republican as well, that enable rampant fraud to abuse H-1B to bring in all kinds of people. And now some of that fraud, some of that abuse is being exposed, in this case, specifically with the Somali community in Minneapolis. Take a look.
Officers from our Fraud Detection and National Security Directorate, working in teams, have conducted over 1,000 site visits across the Minneapolis-St. Paul area as part of this operation. Focusing on a list of over 1,000 target cases involving more than 900 individuals, our officers encountered blatant marriage fraud, visa overstays, people claiming to work at businesses that can't be found, forged documents, abuse of the H-1B visa system, abuse of the F-1 visas, and many other discrepancies. Over the course of the operation, our officers found indication of fraud, non-compliance, or public safety and national security concerns in nearly a little less than 50% of the cases interviewed. We found troubling patterns with the Uniting for Ukraine program that should have raised serious concerns under other administrations, such as an individual filing to sponsor more than 100 aliens, and organizations sponsoring hundreds. We are continuing to investigate these cases.
Can anybody say Ilhan Omar? There you go. Massive fraud rackets, blatant marriage fraud, visa overstays, forged documents, H-1B and F-1 abuse. And obviously there's an ecosystem of fraud here. And I think a lot of people working in various different industries have realized there's essentially H-1B conveyor belt systems operating across the country. You got these little shell organizations that act as H-1B consultants. They're either operating as middlemen for big corporations who don't want to hire people and give them benefits. And in some cases, we're learning that the job doesn't even freaking exist. And so again, the whole purpose of H-1B, the way it was sold, was for rare talents only to be the ones who qualified for that visa category. But instead, the practice has become something along the lines of bring your buddy, bring your cousin, bring your uncle, marry your freaking uncle. Because Uber and Amazon need more human capital. It's out of freaking control. And forever Democrats just didn't want to have the conversation. It was just a talking point, right? Anybody who suggested that our beautiful programs are rife with fraud is just spreading a right-wing conspiracy theory. It's a right-wing talking point, right-wing rhetoric. It's not. It's frickin' reality. The reason they were saying that is because they didn't want any attention being turned to what's actually going on. It's rampant abuse. And unfortunately for Democrats, no matter how many crocodile tears they shed, this administration is cleaning up the fraud. The Trump administration now announcing a full-force crackdown on H-1B fraud.
Almost 200 investigations now have been brought forward, and what's important to recognize is that there are companies who are using the H-1 visa program who are abusing the program. What we want to make sure is we're always protecting the American worker. The president is absolutely correct, and not all things are and or. They can be together. And what we want to make sure is that we're providing the skilled workforce so that Americans have these jobs first and foremost. If that is not the case, and these businesses need to apply for the H-1B visa program, we want to make sure that they're following the law and not abusing and depressing American wages with foreign labor. That is not the goal of the program. We want integrity. I want to work with the Department of Homeland to make sure that they have that. So Project Firewall, it is the first time in history that the Secretary will use all the tools, and I have been able to sign personally some of these investigations. We will clamp down on these companies who are abusing and depressing wages and not protecting the American worker first.
Fantastic. Lock it in. Identify the fraud rings. Indict the organizers. And this might sound political, but trust me when I say it's not. But expose the Democrat cities and states that are enabling this. You know, there's a reason that they're fighting tooth and nail to stop this administration from getting their hands on the data. We had Democrats gaslighting us last month. Oh, there's no health care being handed to illegal immigrants. Okay, well, maybe give us the data, right? Allow the Trump administration to come in and see what's going on. Food aid programs, healthcare. Why not allow the federal government to inspect your voter rolls while you're at it? Oh, no. That's totally unnecessary. In fact, that would be a threat to democracy. Yeah, I wonder what they're freaking hiding. And actually, just speaking of EBT, that's the next pivot. Another uncomfortable conversation for Democrats, and another act coming from this administration that's likely to cause mass left-wing panic. According to the Trump administration, they're now tackling EBT fraud by forcing recipients to have to reapply to verify that they are in fact a legitimate recipient of food aid.
Can you imagine when we get our hands on the blue state data, what we're going to find? It's going to give us a platform and a trajectory to fundamentally rebuild this program, have everyone reapply for their benefit, make sure that everyone that's taking a taxpayer-funded benefit through SNAP or food stamps, that they literally are vulnerable and they can't survive without it.
And this, of course, is causing mass panic and chaos in left-wing circles, but it's common sense, and it's long overdue. They've already identified hundreds of thousands of cases of clear fraud. It's time to clear up these programs. When you're running a program with millions of beneficiaries, and you're just rubber stamping auto renewals, it's less of a safety net and more of a safety freaking luxury couch. You got people trafficking EBT for cash. You got duplicate identities taking dollars. You got cross-state benefits. I mean, scam upon scam upon scam. And it's high time to tackle the fraud and publish all the findings. The left will tell you that this is cruelty. Oh, it's so cruel to demand accountability for the taxpayers. No, it's not. It's common sense. It's the right thing to do. If people are receiving these benefits who have no business receiving these benefits, well then the cruelty is on the taxpayer. A government that's been running a massive deficit and stacking trillions of dollars in debt that's being put on the next generation of Americans. That's the cruelty. You gotta find as many efficiencies as possible. You need to cut the waste, the fraud, the abuse. And that's what's happening now. And the beauty is, the premise has been set to really go all out because that's the conversation that's really sprung up since the government shutdown. Well, now with this renewed focus on this important issue, I gotta tell you, it seems like there's gonna be a lot of interesting findings and some decisive actions being taken here. Things are about to get real interesting and real spicy. Of course, I'll keep you guys updated. That's what I got for you for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.